Hi everyone, Bear from Bear Reads Books. Welcome back to my channel. It's great to be back. It's been, wow, over 2 weeks since I did a video, and it really has been busy. University's been busy, work's been busy, and just the world has been, yup. So, but I'm back. And for most of those 2 weeks, I really didn't read a thing. And it's only been the last couple of days that I've cracked a book finally. And I'm back in my garden. We had lots and lots of rain, so I'm back in my garden. Different view from normal, and I can give you an update of the books that I finished, read, and all that jazz. So probably since the last time we spoke, I started and finished American Dirt by Janine Cummins. It was great. I know there's been a lot of controversy out there about cultural appropriation and about reinforcing negative stereotypes about different cultures, and I get all that. I do. I really, really do. But it is still an astoundingly entertaining work of fiction. And I think if you come at it like that and look at it as simply for its entertainment value, this is not high literary fiction with social commentary thrown in. This is pure entertainment. Think of this as like the action novel, like a Tom Clancy or something like that. It's not trying to say anything important about race or about migrants or the migrant experience. I don't think it allows itself enough time, and I don't think it has the words to fully throw itself into those topics. And I think it glosses over those topics to form this really exciting, really interesting book. But I don't think, from my perspective and from an Australian perspective, I'm not sure that it's worth all of the controversy that it's attracted. It's certainly attracted a lot of hype. What with the $1 million advance and the $1 million movie deal and all of that sort of stuff. I think that has led to this ongoing conversation about the value of a book like this, written by a white woman, and really accentuating those negative stereotypes of Central American peoples. And I do get that, but it's still a ripping story. The other thing I finished was an audiobook called Phosphorescence, and I think I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, written by an Australian, and I'm trying to have one Australian book in my list at any one time, a recent, modern Australian book, and I've done that so far while I've been away from you all. And that was Phosphorescence by Julia Baird, and she's previously written a book about biography about Queen Victoria that was very well received all around the world. And now she's written this book after battling cancer, so going through cancer treatment and into recovery, and now she has written a book called Phosphorescence, and on awe and wonder and the things that keep us going when the lights go out, or something like that is the subtitle. And it covers a lot of ground. It's very broad in its approach to what we should be in awe of. And it starts off with things like nature and literature and love and just human relationships and human contact. But then it delves into territory like religion and spirituality. Her brother is a Conservative Member of Parliament here in Australia, and her father is an ex-Conservative Member of Parliament, in fact a very high-ranking one in Australia. So she comes from very conservative and very well-known family stock in Australia. But she herself has made a big shift to the left with all of her work in journalism and with books like this, and being on the national broadcaster. She's decidedly a large step to the left from most of the rest of her family. And I think this book reflects that. She has a very complex history of Her own personal history is one of Catholicism and regular church going and very conservative family values. And that transfers over to how she frames up her belief systems, both before she was diagnosed with cancer, to get her through the cancer treatment and the recovery, and now in recovery to move on with the rest of her life. And I think those kinds of core values frame up her entire system. But needless to say, it's an excellent, excellent book. As I said last time, I think it was released in September last year to not much fanfare or success. Released again this year when the lights actually did go out with coronavirus and we're all stuck at home. And she, to a lot greater success. So it's going barnstormers here in Australia, this book. It is absolutely everywhere. It's selling at full retail price, no discounts, on the shelves in pretty much every bookstore in hardcover. And it's selling very well. And for that, she should be congratulated. It's a great, great book. But it sits strangely not in any one genre. You wouldn't call it motivation, you wouldn't call it self-help, you wouldn't call it spirituality. It doesn't sit in any of those genres. It really maybe straddles the memoir genre, where she's recounting this part of her life that caused her to think about the things that leave her in awe, or the things that she has great respect for, like nature and relationships and all that sort of stuff. And I think you can see that, but it's very hard to pin down, and that may have been the reason why there was that lack of critical success last year when it was released, because it really doesn't firmly sit in a genre. But in this time where none of us really firmly sit anywhere apart from on our asses at home, this is the perfect book. So the full title, I'll read it out for you so you can find it if you wish. Give me one sec. Now, the author is Julia Baird, and the name of the book is Phosphorescence, and the full title, Phosphorescence on Awe, Wonder and Things That Sustain You When the World Goes Dark. Find it wherever you can. If you find it on audiobook like I did, it is narrated by the author. She does a great job. And there's lots of references to studies and scientific journals and things like that. So it takes a very measured approach to these things, to all of these things that you should be in awe on, especially science and nature, and the value of exercise and the value of being out in nature, the value of sunshine and all those sorts of things. It takes a very scientific approach, but she does it in a very engaging way, so check it out. So since finishing that, the next Australian book I picked up is this big lump of a thing called The Rich Man's House by Andrew McGann. Now, I had never heard of Andrew McGann. He's an Australian author who's written like 9 or 10 books. Never read a single one, never heard of this man. And the only reason I heard of this one is because he died just after finishing it. And in fact, the foreword to the book, I'll just grab it and read it for you. The author's note at the front says, I'll just grab my glasses. The author's note at the front of the book says this: "This is my last book. An author can't always say that with certainty, but as I'm in the final stages of dying as I type this, it seems a safe bet. It's a finished novel. I wouldn't be letting it out into the world if it wasn't, but I can't deny that my abrupt decline in health has forced the publishers and I to hurry the rewriting and editing process extremely, and that this is not quite the book it would have been had cancer not intervened. That doesn't help with any flaws you might find in the story, but it might explain them, and for once I can fairly plead I was really going to fix that." And I love that for an author's note, posthumous author's note. It tells the story about it's so hard to explain. It tells the story of this mountain that grows out of the ocean, not grows out of the ocean, that exists. So it takes this slightly skewed alternate reality about a mountain in the middle of the Southern Ocean, in between Antarctica and the mainland of Australia and Tasmania. And this thing is 25 kilometres in the sky, this mountain that is coming out of the ocean. So it's this alternate history. So the way in which Andrew McGann weaves that into existing history is all the explorers that came by Tasmania and Australia in the 16th and 17th centuries looking for this great southern land. They happen upon this 25 kilometre high mountain coming out of the ocean, and all of this mythology develops around it. And then obviously in modern times it becomes a place where hikers and mountaineers try to traverse the thing. And one person in the history of mankind has managed to climb it, and he is this now recluse billionaire that lives just in another island off this main 25 kilometre high mountain. And he invites people to his new house that he's had built, and one of those people is the daughter of the architect that built this marvellous house. It really is an intriguing and interesting read. I've never read anything like it at all, and it is the kind of thing that really does interest me, where you take very solid historical fact and reality, and then you just change one little thing, or you add something that simply doesn't exist, that sounds completely crazy. And that's what he's done, and built all of the existing history that we know around this complete fiction. It's really nice. Very, very good. I'm about a third of the way through. It's very easy to read, and I'll give you an update of that when I finish it. So that's The Rich Man's House by Andrew McGann. So they're the Australian ones. At the moment I'm still reading for BookTube Prize as well. Currently reading this one. Alif Shafak, 10 minutes 38 seconds in this strange world. Can't say anything about it. I won't even tell you the plot. I think you all know about this already. I'm in a really good pool of 6 for the BookTube Prize this time. I've already read 2, those being Women Talking and Lanny. So, and I don't think I'll need to reread them unless I really need to do a deep comparison between books, but I think I've got those 2 firmly enough placed in my head that I don't need to go back to them. But the other 4 are this, Alif Shafak, plus Red at the Bone, and On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, and something else. The full list escapes me. But that is what I've got on my desk at the moment. Oh, and an audiobook. Give me one sec. Audiobook. This one was in the BookTube Prize contention. It has drifted out of contention. It was in the quarterfinals and then it didn't make it into the semi-finals. And it is Elizabeth Gilbert's City of Girls. And it's one of those ones that I've had a few of this year that when I read the back cover, I read a summary, I think this is definitely not going to be something that I would ever enjoy. Like Tracy Chevalier's a single thread about embroidery, or The Dutch House, this weird family drama about rich people. You know, I thought it was just not for me. And then you pick it up and you go, wow. And Elizabeth Gilbert's City of Girls is kind of like that. You read the premise and you think, yeah, nah. But I really am enjoying it. I'm about 4/5 the way through. I think it's almost finished, maybe in the next day or so. Thoroughly enjoying it. About a girl's history of moving to New York. She gets chucked out of Vassar when she fails all her exams and she's too hard to deal with, so she gets kicked out of Vassar. She goes and lives with her aunt in New York who owns a theatre, and she becomes a costume designer for her aunt in this dodgy theatre. And all of the things that happen to young women whose eyes are open for the first time when they're in New York City. So it's quite frank in its descriptions of sex and relationships, and but it's also, there's lots of controversy, and yeah, it's really good. I don't want to give too much of the story away, but it does span decades of this woman's life, including the pre-war, we're talking around World War II, so the pre-war, during the war, and post-war periods, and all the people that she meets and the relationships she has, and it's thoroughly engaging. That's City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. So I haven't been doing nothing. I've been busy. On top of that, I've been doing lots of university work, which is now on a break for semester. But I finished a short story. I finished a book proposal for something else. So, I've been doing stuff. It's just been, with the world as it is, you just don't feel like reading very much. I don't know. I think some other channels out there are kind of like that. There's some channels that I follow that have just gone completely off the radar right now. A couple of other channels, and I think a Bookish Islander is the example for this. Juan from Bookish Islander has decided to refocus his channel, not away totally from books, but on a broader range of topics. So he's going to do full book reviews like he's really, really good at. That's why we love Juan at Bookish Islander. But he's going to talk about lots of other stuff on his channel as well. So I'm going to stick with him because I really like his channel anyway. But I think a lot of people are choosing to do stuff like that. People are just aching to talk about other things, other issues, whether that be topical social issues or just really anything to take their mind off the other stuff that's going on in the world, or to help them talk through and deal with the other stuff that's going on in the world. It's not that it's not important, but it is, at the moment, it is all consuming, and it needs to be, because it's all horrible and needs to be dealt with. But I'm good. Everyone around me is good and healthy. And now that I'm back reading, I am so happy to be back with books open and not watching so much television. I have watched some great television. I think I might do a video about the great adaptation shows that I've watched, book adaptation television shows that I've watched, because there's been some crackers. I'm going to go because my dog right here is annoying me. Come on, come and see. Here's my dog. Oh, here's my dog. Here's my puppy dog. Here's my puppy dog. Here's my puppy dog. Time to go, everyone. Have a great day, everyone, wherever you may be, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.